All right, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to a new video. I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate it for clicking on the video today. As you guys can tell, we have another dev talk video that was tweeted out by Treyarch just 4 hours ago. So today we're gonna get my thoughts over it, kind of watch it together. I did watch a little bit of it. I didn't finish it though, so I wanted to react to it with you guys, get my thoughts over it. And before we jump into that, over 81% of you guys who watch the vids are not subscribed. So if you guys enjoy this video at any point, consider dropping a sub. Obviously you don't have to, but YouTube algorithm loves the call to action stuff, so I just gotta say it. But there's some big changes, guys, and like I said, I want to get my thoughts over it, so I won't bore you guys with an intro too much. Let's just dive right into it.
Hey everyone, Matt Schrontz, design director at Treyarch, back again to talk about some updates for multiplayer in Black Ops 7. Okay, so the first topic I want to touch on is the whole aim down sights, ADS, while sliding, diving, wall jumping topic. So in the beta, that did require you to take the dexterity perk. The team looked at all of our options and ultimately landed on providing the most fluid experience by default, which does mean we've reintroduced the ability to aim down sights while sliding, diving, and wall jumping by default. You do not need to take the dexterity perk. Dexterity will still speed up those interactions, sprint to fire, slide to fire, but you will not need dexterity perk to ADS while doing those actions.
I think that's personally the perfect balance. Like, if you're gonna go the route of this revolutionized Omni movement, right, adding this wall bounce, wall jump, then it was kind of like a crutch perk. Like, you almost needed dexterity as far as like what the gameplay was like in the beta. Obviously a lot of things are going to change as we're going to see with perk balancing and stuff coming up, but I think this is the perfect balance of, you know, dexterity still speeds up like sprint to fire, ADS and stuff like that, but you don't need it as default because the movement is such like a key element in this game. So just moving around the map, getting around, everything like that. So I personally love that change.
Okay, next one I want to touch on is just to reconfirm a topic I touched on in our last dev update about footstep volume. We have slightly increased the volume of our footsteps in multiplayer. We're very happy with where they're at, where it's going to incentivize more stealth play styles without over-indexing on the need for the ninja perk. Okay, next I want to touch on
I didn't really experience many footstep issues. Obviously it was a beta, so I kind of felt like they were going to make changes to audio, but I guess I like this. You know, I don't think footsteps should be so overbearingly loud, but I do think they're important. Like, you should have sound cues if a player isn't using Ninja, for example.
Where we've landed with our slide tuning coming out of the beta for launch. Alongside that dexterity change and the ADS change, we have slowed down the slide speed a bit and we reduced the distance a bit, but I promise you it still feels great, it still feels fluid, but we want to make sure that that's not the only way you can enter in an engagement.
I see what they were trying to do, and I saw like a handful of people complain about like it just felt like you were sliding. Like BO6, that was like the main movement, right? Side slide, back slide, forward slide, slide cancel, slide into a corner, slide into a gunfight. So I get like what they were trying to do, but I hope it doesn't feel clunky, which from what he made it sound like right there, it doesn't sound like it's going to be clunky. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Another movement topic I want to touch on are our mantles. So we saw the feedback, we agree. Some of the mantles felt a little slow, so the team is going through every single mantle in the game to make sure that we have a consistent speed and fill and everything feels fast and fluid. The next one,
I don't know why the past few years, especially like what comes to mind is like MW2 2022 with that ledge hang thing. Mantling has just felt like very obscure and very awkward, and I think like maybe if you increase the base like mantling speed, it sounds crazy, like increase the base speeds of everything, but like increase the base mantle speed. And then back in the day, at least in BO2, like dexterity used to make you mantle and jump over things quicker, so maybe like adding that into the dexterity perk, maybe just a thought. I don't know.
One is a meaty topic, and it's about our perks and our perk distribution.
This is a big one.
Got a lot of feedback. We made some changes ahead of beta coming out of our blog. A lot of you had a lot of feedback on that, which we appreciate. But the big changes that we're going to focus on here for launch are: one, we want to make sure that we are incentivizing and allowing for varied play styles. Two, we saw a lot of feedback on how stacked slot 1 was, so we've made some adjustments there that I think you're going to be happy with. And then three, there were some kind of niche underutilized perks, so we've actually made some combinations of perks to make those chunky decisions and choices.
Huge W. There was just so many perks. I think they could have even done this in Black Ops 6, like early on. There's just so many perks, and some could definitely be changed. So I'll be interested to see, because this is like right where I stopped watching, but I'll be interested to see what they actually combine. So
let's get into the details.
Yeah,
first change, we've actually moved tech.
Okay, so right off the bat, you're gonna be able to run flak and tack. I'm not gonna call it tech mask because that just sounds stupid. I'm gonna call it tack, but flak in perk 1, tack in perk 2. I don't believe ninja or lightweight or ghost is in perk 3. I believe those are all in perk 1. So that means you're gonna have to either run perk 1 greed. I'm thinking like from competitive, they're probably gonna run flak, ninja, tack, and whatever the third perk is, maybe like I don't know, fast hands is here too, but for pubs anyways, that's going to be really interesting. Like perk 1 is still pretty heavy with lightweight, ninja, ghost, and flak, but I do like that they moved tack to 2. And obviously we don't need dexterity now because the base movement speed is going to be what dexterity was doing for us in the beta. So
tech mask to slot 2 from slot 1. That's going to allow for classes like flak jacket, tech mask, and guardian for a very strong support tanky class. We've moved tack sprinter to slot 1 from slot 3, looper to slot 3 from slot 2, and that's going to let you loop your score streaks. Cold-blooded is going to slot 3 from slot 1, and that's going to allow for full stealth classes like ghost, ninja.
So yeah, perk 1, in my opinion, is still very stacked from both competitive and like a public match side of things, because I know competitive perks are usually everyone runs the same perks. Like there hasn't really been much variation in perks since like back in the day with like VO2. Ghost was another game where perks were very prevalent. Nowadays it's just like everyone runs the same perks from day 1 to day 365, you know what I mean? So but lightweight, ghost, ninja, and flak all being in 1, I think they could have moved maybe ninja to perk 3 so you could run flak, tack, and ninja, and then have variations on it if you wanted to make it faster with like lightweight ninja, and you're risking not having flak, but then you could have lightweight and ninja, you know. So I don't know, I guess we'll have to see how the perk meta kind of plays out, but I think what they said is they're combining some, because it definitely looks like way less.
And cold-blooded with a wild card, of course. Scavenger is going back to slot 2 from slot 1. And then we'll start getting into the combinations of those underutilized perks that I touched on. So
perk 1 was way too stacked. I'm glad they changed a lot of it.
First up, Shadow, which allows you to move by traps without setting them off, has been added to Engineer. So that's going to be a fun perk where you can actually see enemy equipment through the world and then also approach it and not set those traps off. Vendetta, which allows you to see the location of your previous killer, has been added to Assassin. So if you really want to target a single player on the enemy team, this is going to be your perk. So one for our melee players, we've actually added Bruiser, which gives you increased health regen and score for melee kills to close shave. So if you want to go all in on that melee playstyle, this is going to be the perk for you. Hunter's Instinct, which gives you intel on a nearby enemy after a kill, has been added to Tracker. So that's all about tracking your enemy locations. And then one that I'm super excited about, we've actually added Quartermaster, which recharges your equipment to Gearhead, and that has moved to slot 1. And if you're all about the gadgets, or if you're all about the field upgrades and the equipment, this is going to be the perk for you. So with all of these changes to our perks, the team is very excited.
Kind of sounds like all those perks that, like, I'm going to be honest, I probably use like one of those that he was talking about, like Bruiser, Close Shave, Engineer, Shadow, like all of those perks, like Quartermaster to the last one, Quartermaster to Gearhead. I mean, all of those perks, I'm not gonna lie, they were probably the most unused. Like everyone's using like lightweight, ghost, ninja. For perk 3, it's mainly like this year for pubs it was bankroll. People are probably going to be running dexterity. I know some people like tracker and stuff. For perk 2, it's going to be fast hands or tack, I'm assuming, or scav. I mean, I still feel like there's a lot of perks that are unnecessary and it's just kind of like flooded with random shit, but at least they condensed it down a little bit. So Treyarch.
As you increased health regen equipment, this is going to be the perk for you. So with all of these changes to our perks, the team is very excited. We think you'll be very excited. And of course, we're very much looking forward to your feedback. Okay, next up, I want to touch on what we're doing with aim assist in Black Ops 7. So first off, we're looking very closely at the data, and the data says that controller players are winning slightly more in close range engagements, and then keyboard mouse players are winning slightly more in those long range engagements. So what we're going to do here is
Wait, hold on. Did I hear that right?
So first off, we're looking very closely at the data, and the data says that controller players are winning slightly more in close range engagements, and then keyboard mouse players are winning slightly more in those long range engagements.
I would think personally it would be the exact polar opposite. Controller players are winning longer range engagements, and KBAM is winning close range engagements. Would you guys not agree, like, keyboard and mouse is better up close versus, like, you know, aim assist is so broken, dude. You just get beamed from 68 meters away, like, rotational aim. Like, I would think that it would be the opposite, but I don't know.
So what we're going to do here is to try to close that gap. Take a very close look at the strength of aim assist across all of those ranges. And then additionally, we are looking at rotational aim assist and the requirement for your right aim stick to be moving in the direction of your target. We'll have more concrete details to share soon. That's my time for today. Of course, we have more details coming on maps, modes, weapons, and progression as we head into launch.
Okay, so it kind of just sounds like they're trying to close the gap between keyboard and mouse, keyboard winning longer, controller players winning close range engagements. I don't know. Like I said, I thought that was pretty weird. I personally think that it would be the opposite, but the biggest change for me personally is dexterity and the perk balancing and shifting around. I think too far often that we've seen in recent CODs, like the perks have just not been prevalent. It's the main ones that we see over and over and over. I do think it's still a little oversaturated and way too many perks, but I'm glad they condensed it down a little bit. I still think perk 1 is a little stacked. I think they could move like Ninja out maybe to 3 or something, but I feel like these are going to be the set in stone perks for launch. But let me know down in the comments if you guys made it this far in the video and what your favorite change that was covered in this video is. Like I said, if you guys made it this far, I really appreciate you guys. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you guys are new, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.